Welcome back to Inspire to Retire. It's Susan, and I'm here to give you the first video of what's sold. And so what has sold in the past 3 months? My channel started at the end of October on my husband's birthday, October 28th. And since then, a lot has transpired. So I think I've had about 87 transactions. I'm going to show you 20 plus transactions here and probably another 20 plus in another video on Wednesday or Thursday. So stay tuned. See if you can learn something. See if there's something new that stands out to you that you say, hey, never thought of picking that up to resell. So I hope you enjoyed this. Talk to you soon. This clock is something that would have been in my kitchen when I first got married. Maybe I did have one of these. But anyway, it sold for $24.99, a 1994 Spartus plastic clock. Be on the lookout for these, as they don't seem like they have value, but obviously they do. This vintage Winnie the Pooh mobile was in my death pile for years, and I finally listed it this summer. And it finally sold couple of months later, which I'm not too unhappy about, and it sold for $24.99. Yeah, I think that's a fair price and a fair time frame. These Nike Cheer shoes are in great shape, and I picked them up for probably $4 or $5 at Goodwill and flipped them for $22.99. Oh, Gymboree, how I love thee. I started selling on eBay just Gymboree things that my kids had grown out of. I've always loved Gymboree clothing. I've been on a million different Facebook groups buying and selling and talking about Gymboree, and I even met my best friend through Gymboree, basically. So Gymboree has meant a lot to me, and it's hard for me. It's really hard for me not to buy it anymore, even when I see it in the wild. I bought this dress 3 years ago and listed it. It took 3 years to list. I kept reducing it and reducing it. And finally it sold at $12.99. So things that used to have value don't always hold their value. But I have to be more ruthless with myself as I purchase things, not to purchase Gymboree. And for the most part, I leave it behind now. This cute deck of cards, actually this pair of deck of cards, were so interesting and cool looking to me. I just had to buy them. So sometimes I'm more on a rescue mission to get things to people who will enjoy them as a reseller, which is kind of a pitfall for me. This movie DVD set was purchased by my daughter at an anime convention that I fully funded and took her to, so I didn't feel bad selling it when she moved out of the country and left it behind as abandoned belongings. She obviously did not want it. So, yeah, it was signed. I remember her being so excited because it was signed by one of the voice artists who did the voice of one of the characters on here. I'm not up on anime. I just support my kids enthusiastically and whatever they like. Land's End is a staple in my collection of items because they always sell well. If you have a quality piece and it's in great shape, you will be able to resell it for a good amount of money. And it's also turned me on to buying Land's End swimsuits myself. As a bigger girl, I need more support, and they are really wonderfully supportive swimsuits. I'm not at all affiliated with Land's End. I'm just saying that they are wonderful suits, and there's a reason why they're worth so much money, even used. So if you see them out in the wild, pick them up. Okay, I brought this up the other day when I was recording in my dining room. I have a lot of stamps. This is just one stamp that I listed a whole bunch of them this summer that sold, and I went digging for it in the shed, found it, of course, and sent it out. So stamps do hold value, but listing them can take quite a while. So that's why I set the ones I found in the dining room aside, and I'm looking for larger items that I can get out quicker or things that will make me more money in the long run. This beautiful Belle costume was a product from Disneyland, and it had the Disneyland tag in it, which makes it more valuable than, say, buying one at Walmart or one of these Halloween stores. So I listed it last fall, and it sat for a year. But that will happen. A lot of times, though, I'll find costumes will sell year-round because people buy them for dress-up. So you never know. List your costumes year-round. Here's an example of a costume that I bought at the bin store. Probably paid $5 or $7 for it. And I even had it at Vendor's Village. I had a $24.99 tag on it, I believe. Never sold, obviously. Brought it home, listed it recently, and obviously before Halloween. And it sold for $74.99. So, I mean, I really do make more money selling on eBay than I would in a brick and mortar, because you have to find just the right person that wants that one thing. Scrapbook stuff again. Well, I could tell you how many hours I spent scrapbooking, but that would bore you to tears. Suffice it to say that scrapbook stuff, for the most part, really hasn't held its value, but I'm sentimental about it, and I give it the old college try for the most part. So this rare piece sold for me, and yeah, I have plenty more to list. I am keeping my own personal supplies because I do want to get back into scrapbooking when I retire, because it's my next chapter that I can do whatever I want. Okay, am I the only one that grew up with these tea towels on the wall? Yeah, my grandma had them, my mom had them, and of course, 1976 was quite the year. I remember going to the bicentennial celebrations and even being dragged to the bicentennial train, which we stood, I think, for about 6 hours in the heat to see the bicentennial train. The only thing I remember from it were the red shoes from Wizard of Oz were on there displayed. Not sure why, but I was only 12 years old, and 12-year-olds don't usually have much tolerance for museums. Look at this cutie pie Build-A-Bear I picked up for a couple bucks at Goodwill. My Goodwill really overprices these guys. So I probably paid about $4, $5 for him. Just couldn't pass him up. And most of the Build-A-Bears don't have a huge resale value. So, check them out. This is a vintage decoration that was made of hard plastic. So if you know anything about hard plastic over the years, it gets brittle. And so pieces of it have broken off over the years. I picked it up at our restore. Sadly, our restore recently closed. This next sale was interesting because I had never seen cornflower plates. I never even thought, gosh, I wonder if they exist. But, bam, they showed up for me one day, I believe, at Catholic Charities. And I was like, wow, these have got to be worth something, because blue cornflower is everywhere on corning stuff. But I had not seen plates. So I looked them up, of course, and then I bought them. And they sold rather quickly. I listed these in the summertime, and again, they sold in a few months. I'm happy with that for $50. So be on the lookout for blue cornflower plates, especially. This is another tagged item from Disney World instead of Disneyland this time. And this tagged item is a hat. It's a little newsboy style hat. And sold for $14.99. Again, not a bad flip, and it doesn't take up much room, and it's easy to ship. So I like that as well. I've always promised you to be honest and give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Here's something else that has been listed for 3 years plus and finally sold. It's a pattern for a doll. Yep, I couldn't leave it behind. Don't know why. Wasn't a super wise purchase. Probably didn't cost me more than a quarter or 50 cents, but I eventually got $13.99 out of it. So win-win. And it's small and took up barely any space, but would I buy it today? Probably not. This is another bin store item I bought that's been held onto for 3 years before it sold. But hooray, it sold for $19.99. I know many resellers say when in doubt, part it out. And I have found that to be true for many things. I could tell you about a coffee maker machine I took apart that I resold the Bakelite pieces and did amazing with them. But the unit itself was trash. So sometimes parting it out works. And in this case, I found probably at the Goodwill outlets, my guess is. This item is easy to list, easy to ship, and glad I got $14.99 for it. This gorgeous cake or pie server I found down in New Jersey, near Atlantic City. We went to a Goodwill and found this and fell in love with it. Knew I shouldn't buy it, but I think I spent $10 on it anyway. And had it for years in a death pile. Finally listed it in 2023, and it sold for $24.99. So not my best purchase, but glad it went to somebody who will love it. Hardware for the house. It's usually easy to sell, especially if it's new in the box, as this one is, and a good brand name. So I listed this back in April, and it sold in October. Again, not too bad. If I get things sold in a year, I'm happy. It's the things that I have that are more than a year in my listings that makes me a bit crabby. So, sell, sell, sell. This next one is something I don't remember purchasing. It could have been something my husband picked up because he thrifts with me as well. And I listed it, and it looks like a title that I would not write. So this is a good example of me copying somebody's listing because they sold something similar for that kind of money. And, when you don't know what something's worth, what do? You look for comps. And if they have a great title, I will copy part or all of their title. Anyway, this book from 1946 sold for $19.99. This little costume was something I picked up at Walmart for $1, maybe a $2 purchase way after Halloween, and saved for years. Had it in a death pile, listed it last year, didn't sell, but it did sell this year for $18.99. I'm sure there are some maternity jeans out there that are worth a bunch. These in particular didn't happen to be worth much. I'm not sure how I came upon them, why they were in a death pile that I listed, but they were, and they got listed eventually and sold for $14.99. Again, I can't tell you how long this sat in a death pile, but I can tell I listed it in the summer due to the background I used here. So anyway, this little piece of Electrolux sold for $24.99. When you're out there thrifting, look for vintage parts and vintage pieces that might be something someone needs to replace in a move, or they lost, or they broke it. You never know what could happen. So here's a good example for you. Again, I have said many times I'll sell anything that will sell. And this is one of those items. It is a cash drawer with a key. When I was dumpster diving one day at an office store, I found this little gem and had it listed for a very long time, but found just the right buyer recently, and they paid $39.99. Hip, hip, hooray! Another thing that I listed this summer, just an old baby monitor, complete. I even tested it, made sure it worked, spied on the cats, and sold for $14.97. Very happy it sold. That 97 shows me that it was an offer I made to a buyer, and offers generally don't get taken up. Like when I send them out, 9 times out of 10 they don't get accepted, but this time it did, so hooray. Another thing I have an affinity for is plates. So plateware, glassware, yeah, they're kind of a draw to me. So Corel is a one love of mine, and this particular pattern, Pink Trio, isn't seen very often. So getting $39.97 for a set of 6 plates is awesome for me and awesome for the buyer. This will be the last item of what I've sold since I started doing my YouTube channel. And these plates were very tempting to keep. They are awfully cute. If you see Pier 1 plates, you need to look them up because usually they're going to have and hold value. I had a set of 8 of these plates and I had them at Vendors Village and they never sold. Brought them home, broke one on the way, and sold them on eBay. 7 plates for $74.99. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and like and subscribe because that really helps the channel, and I'm hoping to build this channel. Getting rid of stuff. Hooray. So, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for sticking with me, and I will try to have part 2 out this week. Talk to you later. Remember, retirement is just your next chapter. Bye for now.